Just want to quickly shout out all of our partners and thank them so much for the support. Really does mean a lot to us and help us with our growth. Enhanced CBD, performance box supplements, Fortis Fightwear, Boho Jewellery, Core Hand Wraps, and Good to Go Recovery. We really do appreciate all the support you've given us over the past year and a bit. We'll have links to all of them in the episode description, and there'll be the codes to them all in there as well. Hello and welcome back to Super Necessary. Today I'm delighted to say that joining us is Bellator Lightweight, Gavin Hughes.
Hello, mate.
How are you doing, mate? You okay?
All good, mate. All good.
Thanks for taking the time to join us.
You're
really
welcome.
Looking forward to talking to you. How's things? Everything going okay?
Yeah, everything's going all right. Say back training now as well, so all good.
Happy days. So first things first, just let us know then, how did you get started in MMA?
But not like a long story, but apart from that, I'd always like to have a little. I'd always like the boxing side of it and everything. But when I started getting into MMA, it wasn't really very well known. But known in Liverpool city centre, like in Liverpool is a city. But as a sport, like it wasn't big at all. I've been doing it now like 12 years now. First gym I started, that was Carbon. Didn't stay there too long and moved to Sapphires a little bit afterwards. But as I said, I just fell in love with it when I started it, and just never looked back.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned you started training then, which kind of helped us go on to the next one. You've mentioned in the past that you don't do camps, so how does that work? Does that just mean you're constantly in training all the time, or?
Yeah, definitely. I've always been like, even with my lads, like I've got my students at Titanium. I always try and drill into the fact that we don't get ready for a fight. We train to better you. So I always see it as every time I've fought, I'm always trying to beat that last Gavin. That's how I've always seen it. So to beat that last Gavin, you've got to keep constantly training. Like, don't get me wrong, you've got to have rest periods, and you've got to train sensibly. But I see the sport evolving so quick, so just get left behind. Even me just having a little bit of a period off and my bicep being ruptured, I feel like I fell behind a little touch. So over the Christmas, I just made sure I stayed on it. I feel like I caught up a little bit.
Yeah. So is it about just staying ready and always improving?
Definitely, staying ready and always improving. And it's a mindset game as well, isn't it? If you know that you're slacking and stuff, and you take that into the fight, don't you?
Yeah.
And apart from that, you don't really learn on camps as well. It's all about getting fit, losing the weight. You're very very low on calories, and your food intake's very low, isn't it? Because you're cutting weight. You can't learn. You've got to be in a good mindset before you start all that. I think it's always worked for me anyway.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned obviously the ruptured bicep there. Is recovery all good with that? Is you
all good,
healthy now?
Yeah, to a certain extent. Obviously, I'm taking it easy. Through the left hook a couple of times. I've rolled about 3 or 4 times, but I think I'm past that danger zone now where it can rupture again. Obviously, it can still rupture again, but like where it's very dangerous. But I'm just glad to be back training. The Bellator offered me one in February, but it was just a little bit too soon. The doctors I don't get signed off from the hospital till 18th of January, so
right,
a little bit soon.
No, good to know that you're back healthy and training again. Anyway, I imagine for someone like yourself, having to take that time out through the injury just drives you crazy.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when I was meant to fight as well. I was against Larry, weren't I? Charlie Larry.
Yeah.
I got in 2 weeks. It was my last spar. Threw a left hook and it went. So all the hard work was done basically.
Nightmare. But I'm sure you're going to bounce back in this year, mate. Definitely.
Definitely.
So, just obviously your nickname is Big Tasty. What's the origin of that nickname?
Well, for stars that don't have burgers, I'm very high. To be honest, we were talking about burgers, the McDonald's Big Tasty, like And then my old coach, Tom Blackledge, still a good friend of mine. He said, "You're a big tasty." And I said, "What the fuck?" Do you know what I mean? And he said, "No, you're a tasty fighter, aren't you?" So I'll go on and let you have that one. Then before I knew it just stuck. I fought on ice, and one of my mates, Daryl Golden, he told the announcer, he said, "Say Big Tasty, say Big Tasty." And then I was just standing there, and he raised my hand and he said, "Big Tasty." I went, "What the fuck?" And before you know it, went on Tapology, and then it just stuck then. So, as you said, you don't pick your own names, do you?
No, you certainly don't.
It's stuck now. It's stuck. Could be worse.
Definitely could be worse. Definitely. It's not a bad one, no.
I imagine I'd be a shock though, like you'd stand there and the announcer goes, "Big Tasty," you're like, "What the fuck did you know about that?" Turns out nicknames get around. It's mad.
It is, isn't it? Tapology just put it up and it just stuck, and that's it.
That's it. As soon as it's on Tapology, you've got nowhere to run then, have you? So,
so obviously with yourself, you're known for your guillotine choke. This is sort of like a multi-question one, however you want to break it down. So first off, like what makes it appealing to you? Like, is it that you drill the technique and it just works, or do you find that on fight nights it's just been there and you've taken it?
I feel like I don't look for it the way I used to. I don't hunt for it all the time. I always used to be me. Everyone has like a go-to submission. I feel like, or something you prefer. I feel like as soon as I finish one in a fight, it gives you confidence to be able to finish again. I feel like as well, when you're in a fight as well, like I just feel like I can change the scenario, be on my back pretty easy from it. You see a lot of people jump for guillotine, they don't look confident. Yeah. They put their arms up on the gas. So I feel like with me, I'll know when it's not going to work. I'll abandon it and I'll get up. And I used to sweep and get up. Loads of lads, and you see them like blowing their arms out. I'll never blow my arms out. I believe a guillotine is not so much of an arm choke. It's everything altogether. I think everyone get this wrong of like squeezing 100% with their arms and you just gas out. Even a little trick I'll do, I'll like literally go up. So like start like in the percentages if you're going up and you get tighter and tighter and tighter. Obviously it's going to make them quit. But a lot of people like 100% straight away, and all they've got is that little downward spiral. Yeah. To get it. But I believe in relaxing and being a little bit more. And if it's not there, switch to something else and better your position. So I think there's a lot of it's being confident in it as well, confident in submission. If you know yourself, if you're a trainer and you feel someone like holding on to something, you think he's not confident, he's got this, he's going to blow in a minute. But when you feel someone very confident, you think, "Fuck, shit." What's up there?
Yeah. So did you feel you had to change that up then? Because obviously, one, you don't want to just be known for it, and two, it keeps your opponent guessing it, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I think sometimes as well when you relax and sufficient as well, they think they feel safe, and then obviously that's when you can start switching it on yourself. I just feel like it's a perfect submission for me. Probably that's why my bicep went, because I was like squeezing that much, it popped off.
Yeah, you think you did yourself a new bicep by squeezing so much.
So you mentioned before, obviously training out Titanium Combat Academy here in Liverpool. You've got students there yourself. Can you just highlight some of the other trainers in there and some of the talent to look out for?
Yeah, well, you might have seen recently we had Ben Kiffin and Kieran Roach fighting on Almighty. Yeah. They're very early on in their careers, but there's a reason for that as well. They've been doing it a little bit of period. They've been doing a good period of time with me, but I believe in not rushing. So you'll see them now. They'll be very, very active. They'll be like, you had the debut on Pabellum before the pandemic, and then he didn't fight till Almighty a couple of weeks back. But now we're going to just go all out for it now. So getting them to a good level, and then that's when we just go out there and fight and perform. Because the talent now and like with the young lads is crazy, especially in Liverpool or just especially in general with MMA. So, But we've got a good few lads going to be coming out. Obviously, we've got Marcus Luke as well. He's signed to Cage Warriors. We'll be back out again soon. We've got loads, but them three, I can definitely say there's good, like, very bright futures for them. I've got as well, but like, I've got my own show coming up as well, so got a couple of lads on that as well. But everything's going on.
Kingdom Combat, is it?
Yeah, KCC, yeah. It's going to be in Grand Central, 4th of March. So, but we've got some massive fights on that. We're not holding back on anything. It's not just an amateur card; it's a pro card as well. We've got Maladi on it from TFT, Andrew Fisher's gym, fighting Lee McCracken. That's a massive fight. That
Definitely.
Everyone knows Lee McCracken's a big prospect coming through the pro ranks now. And Maladi from Andrew Fisher's gym, he's fought for Bellator and everything. So for our first show, we've got some good names on. We've got another fight as well that's getting announced today, so I can't really say much. But that's a good one as well, a lad from Next Gen as well. So
not holding anything back with the first show then?
No, definitely not. We've got to make the brand, and we've got to put it out there and show that we're not holding back. I just believe there's no good shows about it at the minute. Like, we've got Almighty in that. This is obviously a top show. There's not much. Like the Cage Warriors Academy, that's gone now, hasn't it? It's only the Welsh one.
Yeah.
And especially as well, there's that many gyms in Liverpool. It's not that many shows, is there? We've all got, as a coach myself, and I know all the other coaches, we've always got to travel out.
Yeah.
I think, like, even in the Almighty, there's one in Feb there, put one of my lads on it. I'm still waiting for an opponent. I think that's Barnsley. Yeah, so the good drives away, like, especially when we're known for being a city, for basically starting a lot of them at MMA, like the first UFC and that first UFC, like from Liverpool and everything. So it's going to be a big show, trust me. And
what brought about setting up Kingdom KCC then? What was behind the decision there?
A little bit with me best mate and my partner, Gavin. Two Gavins, obviously. It was him, and he's always at me with me fighting career and everything. We've got titanium together, so we're a good team. But then when this happened to me, and we'd always talked about it, he's done a lot of the Thai shows as well with another coach of mine, Tony O'Mara. They've done the Thai shows, Nation Thai, so they gone massive, do you know what I mean? But apart from it was my arm as well. Once my arm went, all I know was training every day. I couldn't train, could I? So I put all my time, all my energy into, like, my fighters, obviously my gym and that. And just kept my mind focused on that, and then obviously it's become with this KCC. So obviously I'm still fighting. I've still got more hunger in my belly than I ever have, to be honest, especially after what happened with my arm. But just in the meantime, I can do that, can't I? And put my focus into that for a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've got a ton of talent in the city, so it's great for them to have a show that they can, not have to travel to. You know what I mean? Because traveling must be a pain in the arse, to be honest with you.
It can be the best thing in the world. It can be the worst thing for fighters as well. I got to travel to South Africa now, which was a blessing. Do you know what I mean? Went to fight the other side of the world. But sometimes when you come waiting and all that, doesn't seem like it at the time. Because I'd be in my own house. You enjoy it now when you look back on it, but you don't really enjoy it sometimes when you do.
Yeah, I can imagine the travel to, like, the UK events more of a pain in the arse than the ones like abroad and stuff like that. Because at least the ones abroad, like you say, you get to go to South Africa. Like, there's obviously the ones in Ireland and stuff like that. But then when it's like a drive to, like, we went to the Cage Steel in Doncaster. When it's a drive to Doncaster, it's a bit different than flying out to South Africa. Like,
yeah, totally. Saying that though, in South Africa, they fucking sent me on like 4 flights. Obviously, it was like fucking. I thought we were there, another flight. Yeah, I think it was like 4 flights or something. So obviously, it wasn't that good. Like,
yeah. No, that's great. That mate, I'm looking forward to seeing the growth of KCC, and it become one of the biggest shows in the city. So moving on, obviously we know you last fought in 2020. You had the council bout with Charlie Leary. Obviously you battled a ton of injuries. For you, like, how irritating is it, like, not competing, especially when you make it to the big show like Bellator?
You know what, it's mad because like since I've signed, if you say in your head, like obviously everyone went through the pandemic, but since I signed, when I had a knee op, didn't I, when I signed for them, but I had to fight with that. So since the day I signed my contract with Bellator, it was like, it's been a little bit of a rough ride. Been the best thing, and then obviously a little bit of a rough, so I had to fight with my knee. My knee was full. He said my ACL was totally gone. And I said, it doesn't matter, I'm gonna have to fight. There was that much flexion in my leg was just doing this. I said, and then basically I got a fought and won the fight, got the contract. I took another fight on me being me, it was stupid, and then it just kept on locking my leg all the time. It just got 10 times worse. So obviously I had to get the op, and then there was a pandemic, and then obviously a bicep op as well. But I'm still here, and I'm still signed, and you know, I think that's the main thing. Like I'm going nowhere. I could have quit. I can still work. I can still do this, be involved with the sport, but I don't want to be on a backseat of the sport. I want to be still at the top. Do you know what I mean? I still want to be fighting. I'm still hungry. Don't get me wrong. I've thought about it a couple of times. I think there's not much point doing this. I've made no money from it. And all I'm doing is getting ups and shit. You know what I mean? But that's just part of it. That's fine. If you broke by things like that, this ain't for you. It's just part of it. Obviously, you'd rather not happen, but it's happened.
Yeah. Bellator being in like constant contact with you while you've had the injuries and stuff like that. Yeah,
definitely. Like, to be honest, I'm like pretty shocked that they've like been so good with me. Not shocked, but like, well, I'm very lucky they've been good. Like the first one, like I've done 2 ops in a pandemic, and they've still got me out in between that. But then straight away, off me another fight February. So they want me out, but it's just a little bit out of hands. But it was a little bit too soon as well. My bicep was about this thick. Skinny army, the big army, yeah. But Jude, the man, like he's always on me to try and get me out all the time. So I'm lucky in that way, but I'm gonna make sure I win that next fight, which I will.
I suppose it shows they hold you in a high regard as well if they're in constant contact with you and want you out there as soon as. So
definitely, I think the Charlie Leary fight needs to happen as well. I know he's matched on Dublin, but I think that's a good fight. I think that's like stylistic, like good fight for both of us. I think it's a good one to watch as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So do you think we can expect a fight announcement soon, maybe on that Ireland card, as you say?
We'll definitely have the Feb card, obviously too soon in the Dublin, which they did offer me anyway because Charlie's on it, so obviously they're going to give me that fight. But me manager Carl, I'm on him. I actually said to him yesterday, and he said he's on it. He's waiting for dates, so I've got a feeling it could be like April, May. But I'll be ready. To be honest, I feel ready to go now. But that's just me being me. Do you know what I mean? I know that's not ready yet. It's not full to a full strength. But it'll be a good comeback anyway, trust me.
Yeah. It's good though, I think, that you'd sort of your head saying that you're ready to go, but you know your body isn't. A lot. There's some fighters out there that wouldn't have that control to be able to say my body isn't ready, but I am, kind of thing. They just go, I'm ready, and that's it.
Well, it was mutually, you know, Paul Reed, don't you? Paul Reed, my conditioning coach, Carl, my manager. We all talk together about it, and I'm like basically saying yeah, and they're saying no, and I'm like, and that is just being a fighter, isn't it? Like I know 90% or 80 to 90% of fighters would say that themselves, but they know like there was no muscle there or not. It's just basically they say 6 months, don't they, before it's fully like full like back to like it's normal.
Yeah,
it's normal strength and everything.
I mean, the good thing is that if it is April when you're fighting, at least you'll have KCC to keep you busy until then, you know, which will be in March. So
it might happen for a reason. I always say things happen for a reason, but it might have happened. So then I got my hand into like doing a little bit of bit of shows and stuff as well. But fuck me, I need a fight though.
Yeah, craving one now. You're starting to withdraw and everything from not fighting.
I still train like it for fighting as well. Do you know what I mean? Like even after I'm training for this morning, 4 days this morning, I've been training again tonight. Obviously still taking it easy. I do a little bit with Danny in the morning, Danny Roberts in the morning. So like I'm still training. You never know what can come up as well. Do you know what I mean? If they go, oh, you can fly out to America in March, I'll be ready. Do you know what I mean? Literally, I literally just needed that little month extra. That was it. Do you know what I mean? Just to get back training.
Yeah, at least they're being very understanding about that. You know, that's
Definitely.
So, for you then, was it always a desire or a dream, if you will, to be in Bellator as opposed to the UFC?
It was mad because I used to watch Bellator and I was like, Bellator's not rough compared to UFC. I don't know what it was, and I just loved the thing. Don't get me wrong, I'd still like to fight in the UFC. But I'm happy with Bellator. Do you know what I mean? Especially where they cheat to me. A couple of wins changes everything for me next. Like win my next fight, win my next 2 fights, it changes everything. Because I can tell how they think of me, or the people who do the matching me with and stuff. And they obviously want me to do well, or hopefully anyway. But a couple of wins and everything just changes.
Yeah. And by the sounds of it, you won't have much money issues with Bellator, so you know.
I think that's what it's better to me. Like the UFC is always going to be the pinnacle. Like it's always going to be just that little. No matter how big, it's always going to be that little edge in front. And I'd still love to fight in the UFC, but I'm happy, and I'm not being ungrateful for how they've treated me as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you ever sort of look back on like how you started? Because I remember seeing you at, I think it was Shinobi War 4 years ago, against, was it Big Ear Thomason?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there as press for uni. I was doing a piece on it for uni then, so I remember seeing you then. Like, do you ever just look back at them sort of starts and seeing now you're in Bellator and just think, fucking, like, what the fuck?
No, that's dead weird, right? Because I said to one of my students the other day, and Ben Kiffin it was, to say the name, and I said, like, you just, the way you're doing it, you just come in, you train every day. Before you know it, you're like 5 years down the line, you think, shit, I'm in Bellator, I'm sad. It's because you just get stuck in that mindset of, I get up, I go to train, I do this, and sometimes you just taking day by day, and you don't even, before you know it, a couple of years later, you're like, oh shit, I'm sad, or I'm fighting in South Africa, and it's mad. It's just that mindset of just continuously turning up, being on the mat, being early, being consistent with your diet, your food, saying no to going out, like loads of little tiny things, like little to like being saying no to a big tasty burger and shit like that. Those little things, like, do you know what I mean? And it all adds up in the end, and that's how you get signed and how you become something.
Yeah. So it's not really focusing on, you know, that big picture. It's not like, well, I'm doing this to get to the UFC, whatever. It's just focusing on those little things that will make.
Definitely, if you think that far ahead and people say, oh, you want to think dream big and all that, I think to me that's fatigue and that's tiring, because you're constantly thinking all that. And one thing even my old coach used to say, that enjoy it now, where you are now. Stop trying to skip ahead so much, because before you know it, it's like you're not living in that moment. You know what I mean? Like when I was fighting on the UFC, I would like be sitting in the hotel waiting for the fight. I couldn't be like, just get excited, but I'd just be sitting there doing nothing. They'd be like, come on, let's go out and chill and enjoy and like explore and see a bit. Like, no, I'd be like, no, I'm gonna stretch, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna read this, I'm gonna pull the shallow box, you know. And then, no matter what fight they said, they all fucking do it. They always sit there and getting the man in a good place. Then you told me to say, come on, let's just get out so we can enjoy the place and that as well. So you've still got to enjoy that moment. For any young fighter, I'd always say enjoy that moment as well, because it's quick, it's very quick.
Yeah. I think if you're constantly sort of focused on that giant end goal as well, that, like you said, you're not going to enjoy the moment, are you? So
that, to go back to the UFC, talking about that being in the moment, I remember having that fight, walking out that fight. I remember not in the fight. Was in that my mindset. I'd already won that fight and I was fighting in the Echo on the UFC. I remember at the time, people told me, He said, obviously, I win this fight, I get a contract. Well, I there was rumours anyway, and I found out it was true by my manager who I've got now. And he said, obviously, he was Van Staden's manager at the time. And he said there was 2 contracts put on the table, one for me and him. Whoever won the fight got the contract, basically. Obviously, I lost that fight, but in my mind, that fight was a blur because I was being a little bit arrogant. I'm like, so I'm going to smash him. I'm going to be fighting in the Echo, in the UFC. So I just wait living in the moment before it passed me.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's the danger.
I don't explain, do you know what I mean? But when you're in that situation, you'll get people who have been in that situation, they'll understand and how they can just literally go past it, like, without even being in it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Power of mind is crazy, you know, like.
Yeah, fucking tired, isn't it?
But yeah. Yeah, so we've got a few sort of quick fire questions then before we get to the last one. So cats or dogs?
Dogs, definitely. You're
not into cats now?
What's yours? Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
It's definitely good. What's it?
Favorite sport outside?
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Dogs.
Dogs all the way.
Yeah. Cats or shit.
Favorite sport outside of MMA?
Football.
Yeah, thought it might be. You're from Liverpool, so red or blue?
Red.
Good. But Toby might have, I was worried he might have to end it there again, to be honest.
Favorite cheat meal?
Favorite what, sorry?
Cheat meal.
What can you guys say? It's boring. It's like Thai food.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Big Tasty.
I know, yeah. Favorite place to get away to?
On holiday, you mean, yeah? Abroad?
Yeah.
I don't know anymore. I haven't been away for that long.
Or even local, maybe somewhere like Wales, or, you know.
We've got 2 kids, don't get out that much. I've lost.
Just the park then.
Yeah.
School run.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so literally that's all the quick fire questions we have, because we know you're a bit strapped for time. Last question then. What can we expect from you this year?
Expect definitely a couple of fights. Big platform on KCC. Some big fights on KC. We're going to get at least 2 shows in, and I want a minimum of 2 fights definitely. Would love that Charlie Lady fight. I know he's fighting in Dublin, but even if I fight someone else, obviously later in the year, I think that's a fight that needs swapping. I think he'd agree on that as well. And that's it really. Just making sure that all my lads as well, all the titanium lads, are getting out there and have a nice active year after shit couple of years through this pandemic.
Yeah, they both done brilliant at Almighty as well, so I look forward to seeing them again at Kingdom. So, yeah.
Well, we've got Ben matched as well, haven't we? We've got Ben matched with a next gen lad.
Yeah,
very good grappler, very full respect to next gen. But I think that shows you like the type of show we're doing. I've got my lads on it. Not only a couple, but I'm not picking easy fights for them. I don't believe in taking easy fights, especially at amateur level.
Yeah.
So I think that just shows you what the platform we're making with KCC.
Especially with the amateur level these days, the level of it's just crazy now, you know what you mean? So even like any fight you do get, it's not really an easy fight, is it? Because the level of it these days.
Definitely, it's crazy. It's all credit as well to the gyms in Liverpool as well, like bringing all these young kids through, taking them all off the streets and like giving them like a good platform. Not even just to be a fighter, but just in general, just being a nice person, being around that vibe. And I know it's done me the world of good, so
yeah,
it's got to be doing all these kids like massively good. It would have done me massively good when I was a kid. I needed something like this.
That's it. I mean, it doesn't just teach you how to defend yourself, which is obviously important, but it teaches you discipline, teaches you respect. It teaches just all your sort of basic life lessons at the same time. I think it works wonders, and people don't.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, people don't see that side of things. They just say, "Oh, it's a bunch of lads who just want to punch each other in the face," which it is. Don't get me wrong.
It is,
but so much more to it.
It's far from it, isn't it? You think of yourself. I think even people when they first come into the gym. I think if you look at a lot of the gyms now doing like beginner courses and that, they're heaving. I think half it's because the people are scared to enter the gym because they think if we go in, we'll have some big fighter, like punch me in the head. But it's not about that. It's like I'm not going to get going now for punching someone who's been training for 30 minutes. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to try and help them. I think they don't understand that, and it's nice for a lot of these gyms doing all these beginner classes, and all these people who would never thought they'd go into a fighting gym or walk into a fighting gym. And it's really good to see. Like,
yeah, absolutely, brilliant.
Well, Gavin, thank you very much for your time today, mate. It's been a pleasure. We're really looking forward to seeing KCC's development this year. The event's definitely got our support, and hopefully we'll try and get down to it. And we can't wait to see you back in action as well. So fingers crossed we'll look out for an announcement soon.
Awesome, mate. Thank you. Thanks again, mate. Thanks.
Take care, Gavin.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.